Your email don't fail because the way you write them. They mainly fail because you don't understand the psychology behind each email and each prospect. If you're sending the same email towards everyone out there, most likely they are going to ignore you. And that's why the most important thing here is psychology. You need to understand how psychology behaves and how your prospect thinks, how they reply, and how they care about your potential solution or your offer. So in this video, I will walk you through a step-by-step process on what are the 6 things that you need to understand in order to send either to an SMB prospect, to a mid-market, or to an enterprise deal, how you're going to take those considerations into an actionable tactic, and how you're going to apply that into a prospecting cold email framework that will give you replies and results. Remember, it's not only about personalization, it's also about psychology. You need to understand how they behave, how they think, how they decide, and what happens internally in each part of the sales cycle in order to make this happen. So let's jump in. So as you can see here, there are 6 main things that you need to make sure that you follow. If you don't adapt to how your prospect decide, they will always ignore you. And these 6 main things are the following ones: decisions, value, psychology, focus, priority, and speed and risk. So as you can see, decisions, if we compare SMB to enterprise, in SMB, there's almost always alone. That means that the CEO or a co-founder or a founder is always taking the final decision. They are the decision makers, they are the economic buyers, they are your internal champions, and most likely they are the ones that you need to speak with. But when we are talking to enterprise, that changes because we need alignment. There are most likely, based on some Gartner results and analysis and studies, almost more than 4 people involved. So you cannot sell in the same way. You need more alignment, you need more people involved, and that's why the message will change. The second thing is the value. When we are selling to SMBs, you need to be actually useful for them really fast. There should be an immediate action, meaning, as you can see here, a utility, a practical outcome that they can apply right away. On top of that, if you're selling to enterprise deals, there should be a perspective. They need to take and make a decision that will be informed, they will think about, and they will decide internally about it. On top of that, we will keep adding things, the psychology behind it. In SMB, they will always think and ask themselves, okay, can this help me right now? As you can see, decisions, value, and psychology, everything is connected. In the meantime, in enterprise, what we are seeing is that basically, is this the right decision long term? They think long term, they think actions that will keep pushing and moving things in the future, not exactly right now or next week like it happens in the SMB. On the other side, we have a speed and risk that is basically in SMB, they need to move fast, as we were saying with decisions and with value, there needs to be a practical outcome, while in enterprise, they don't need to get it wrong. That means that in enterprise, they don't want to move or lift a finger if they don't make sure that they are doing the right thing, because that could cause and could create some consequence internally. And the last 2, focus. In SMB, it needs to be something that will be fixed now. Immediate problems with immediate solutions. And that's how you will tackle your message. And this is exactly what I will show you right now. And priority, the last one. In SMB, it's all about execution. It's all about making things happen. While in enterprise, it's more about strategy. What we are going to do, how we are going to do it, who is going to be involved, and how we are going to put this into action. So, having that into consideration, let's move into a cold email example, both for SMB and for enterprise, that will change the way you see things and how the psychology that I was mentioning at the beginning will impact directly the way you write an email towards different personas. So, the first thing is going to SMB example. Here, let's go through it. Hi name, notice, or so you are scaling outbound. Most teams your size lose between 5 to 8 hours a week per rep on manual prospecting. We helped X company cut that in half in 30 days by doing a specific action. Worth checking how it's done. And a PS where you says, hey, most teams only realize how much time they are losing once they actually measure it. Happy to show you where usually leaks. Why this works? First of all, because they are all connected towards what we were saying before. Decisions, the value, psychology, priority, focus, and speed and risk. We are straightforward showing that there is a clear tangible pain, the time lost, that it's easy to understand, no thinking required. There is an immediate impact, as we were saying, about speed and who is making the decision. In 1 month, you can get to this result and this desired outcome. And there is a low friction CTA as well as the results, 50% improvement, and low friction CTA that is basically an easy yes or no. We want to decrease the risk and we want to lower the friction for the other side, in this case, the CEO, the founder or co-founder saying, hey, you know what? Yes, I need to talk to you. You need to explain why you're saying this and how you can help me solve this right now, immediate action. Additionally, there are some other golden rules or nuggets that you should follow and that you can put into practice. They are KPI oriented. We're talking about the hours that they are missing and how this impact a specific process and specific KPIs. There is 63 word long, so it's mobile friendly and completely straight to the point. And there is speaking about in 6th grade language, meaning that everyone that can read this directly on their phone, it will be super easy to go through, reply it, and move forward. Let's move into the other example. So if we are thinking about, okay, how can I transform this mail to an enterprise email if you're selling the same solution? This is how you should do it. So in this case, you have this example that it says something like, Hey name, so your outbound teams are expanding across 4 to 6 regions. At that scale, misalignment between marketing, sales, and regional teams often leads to 20 to 30% variance in pipeline quality, missed quarterly targets, and around a 17% wasted budget across markets. RevOps and sales leaders see this show up as an unreliable forecast and underperforming regions. We help this specific company reduce this variance by 28% globally. Does this deserve a deeper look internally? P.S. This typically compounds once teams exceed 3 to 4 regions. That is exactly the case that we are talking about. So why this works? In this case, it adds pattern recognition. You've seen this before. You put yourself as an authority. You know what you're talking about. So again, it reinforces the authority without bragging. You're not saying, hey, I'm the best, but you're saying at some point between lines, hey, you know what's going on. I know what you're going to suffer in the future if you don't take action. I have some ideas. Why don't we talk about it? It feels like a helpful insight, not a pitch, not a completely sales jargon out there, and it keeps the tone low pressure and optional. On top of that, this email is still short enough to create some sense of importance, that it's 88 word long. It uses a risk reversal approach. It has a unique strong point of view when you explain why this might happen and how this will be impacting in the future, and there is a clarity on the problem solved that we're mentioning. And here is where the most important thing comes down again if we compare this. Remember, one is SMB, they need fast action, they need a clear solution, they don't have time to analyze a lot of ideas, and they don't have a lot of people involved in the decision process. So when you are going through that analysis, even though you are selling the same offer towards different markets, you need to make sure that the message goes through all these 6 factors that we mentioned regarding the psychological part of it. How they think, how they behave, how they reply, why they should care about your solution, and why they should care now. But if you're selling and sending to enterprise deals, you need to make sure that you understand how enterprise deals behave, how they move forward. It's more strategic, it's more long-term, it's more about the things that will happen if we don't take action, the status quo, the risk that could the business have in case we don't move in a specific way or we don't implement the specific solutions. And that's how you will start using these different frameworks and ideas on how to write an email. And lastly, this is exactly what I want to show you, the full SMB versus enterprise sales psychology in a flow. So let's zoom in here and let's go point by point to break this down, what happened in all the examples that I share with you. So remember, either you have the same product, same problem, same solution, same offer, no matter what you are selling, there's a different psychology. From the SMB perspective, you're talking about a clear pain, right? Lose 5 to 8 hours per week per rep by doing a specific action. While in the enterprise path, you are talking about more high-level strategic impact, like inconsistent quality across regions with the specific numbers. Why do I put this? Because the more specific, the better. Specificity wins. If you can talk about numbers, results, cost of inaction, return on investments, or impacts that they might have because of doing or not doing something, then better. If we move to the solution, when we're talking about SMB, it's an immediate action. It's like, okay, if you do this, you will cut time in half in 30 days, or you will solve this by reducing it by 50% in 3 weeks. You need to be as sharper as possible within the solution. When it comes down to enterprise, the approach is a little bit different. It's more strategic. There's not a pitch here. It's, hey, be careful. This is what I'm seeing. This is where you want to be. I know how you think and how you behave. I want you to help you to get there. And lastly, the call to action. In SMB, it needs a lower friction, super direct call to action, like worth checking how it's done or worth checking how this could be implemented in your process in 1 hour. And in enterprise deals, we are shifting the way we apply this because we are making them feel in a safety space, saying, hey, does this deserve a deeper conversation to understand if maybe there's something that we can do together? So remember, for SMB, the formula is urgency plus utility, while in enterprise, the formula is perspective plus risk. And if we need to add something here, could be adding the right people involved in the process as early as possible. And there are 3 things that you can add as a bonus here. That is urgency, scarcity, and tension. So when we're talking about urgency, scarcity, and tension, it's what will, psychologically speaking, impact and move the needle within someone reading the email and making the difference between they replying or not. So in this case, the urgency, the wrong way to do it's, hey, let me know if you're interested. When we're talking about scarcity, let me know when you want to start. And when we're talking about tension, does this sound interesting? You are not creating the FOMO and the real impact for them to move forward. So let's go one by one. When we're talking about urgency, one way to do this is something like, hey, what's the impact in 90 days if it's not taking action right now? So you are making them think about, okay, if I don't move right now, in 3 months from now, I might be in a complex situation, right? So that's how you shift the wording. When you're talking about scarcity, instead of let me know when you want to start, you can say something like, hey, we will onboard 2 teams this quarter and next window open up in June. Would you like to secure your spot? You're creating yourself and you're positioning yourself as an expert and someone that don't have the amount of time that they want for you to apply into the process, and you are putting your conditions into it, and this creates a sense of, hey, these guys are really good, we need to work with them. And lastly, tension. Instead of saying something like, does this sound interesting? You need to create some sense of, okay, these guys knows what they are talking about. How does stalling reflect on you in the next quarter? Similar to urgency, but creating some sense of movement internally in the copy. Remember, if you can connect all of them and use them on top of each other, the better, the more, the better, because here it's where we use psychology on top of all the factors that we mentioned at the beginning regarding the 6 things that we need to follow in order to influence either an SMB or an enterprise deal. And lastly, remember, if your email looks always the same for every single buyer, then they will always get ignored. And that's exactly what you're going to solve following this methodology. Remember, you need to understand how the buyer behave, why these 6 things are really important, and from there start creating a copywriting that will reflect on that. 100%, leave me your comments below with your strategy, with who you're selling, with the type of emails that you're sending, and I can give you a hand. And don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell. Any questions or any topics that you would like to cover, reach out to me directly here or on LinkedIn. You will have the link to the Miro dashboard in the description of this video, and see you in the next one.